given the situation, Deshaun must be drastically better than Shedeur.
Deshaun Watson you can win with, and I think they have to win. They just can't wipe another season and go right down the toilet right from the start.
I think it's a terrible decision. It's continuing to sort of cover up the holes in the dam.
Look, Inside Football is proud to have Joey as our presenting partner. Nicotine with a quick hit, long tail in the strength of your choice. Hey, everybody, what's up? If you're new to what we're doing here, welcome. We're glad you're here, and thanks for stopping by. And before we get into the content, just a reminder to make sure you stay on top of everything we're doing. Make sure whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on our audio platforms like Amazon, Apple, Spotify for the podcast, make sure you click those like and subscribe buttons and that bell on YouTube so you will know right away every time we drop another episode. If you enjoy content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on that road to 100,000 subs. Hit that button, folks. And if you want to help us get there, share this with someone who will enjoy it too. What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Inside Football Show. So glad you are here with us, us being Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher, Hall of Famer Chris Carter, longtime head coach of the Bengals Marvin Lewis, longtime GM of the Arizona Cardinals Steve Keim, and myself, Trey Wingo. We are delighted to be here with you one more time. Thank you for everybody who has already subscribed to the channel on our YouTube page, Inside FB Show. It's amazing the growth that we've had, and we appreciate how many people are watching and sharing the videos. So that's a real great thing for us, and we hope it continues with us giving you great content and you guys consuming it. So there's a lot to get into as we head into the end of the preseason and getting into the regular season, and a decision has been made in Cleveland. It is Deshaun Watson over Shedeur Sanders and whomever else was there, going to be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. This is the last year of that incredible contract that Deshaun Watson signed, fully guaranteed, nothing they could do. They had to pay him no matter what. So, Steve, I start with you. Do you believe this is a situation where the Browns are like, screw it, we got to pay him, we might as well play him? Or do they really believe this is the best thing for the organization?
I think personally, Trey, that they think it's the best thing for the organization, which I have the polar opposite opinion of. I think it's a terrible decision. I think all it is it's continuing to sort of cover up the holes in the dam. And, they did this, they made this decision a long time ago to trade for him and to give him this outrageous contract. Yeah, that being said, to me, as a general manager, you're looking out for the best interest of your organization long term. And I think that that's the opposite of what they're doing here. It is not in the best interest of them long term.
Well, Marvin, that's the thing that I sort of like. What happens if he plays great and now you want to bring him back? I mean, we've had this situation, give and take, where the fans booed him, and then he said, I don't care what you think. And then he was named the starter, and the fans are like, I can't believe you're doing this. And now Deshaun Watson has gone out there and apologized. I mean, the soap opera around this is unbelievable.
Well, there's two soap operas going on, and maybe this is the lesser of the two. Because
that's a fair point.
I've watched Shedeur Sanders since he was at Jackson State and all his time in Colorado and so forth. And I don't think, people said he slid. He didn't slide in the draft. People don't slide. They get picked where they belong. And, there's just such a circus around that. And, yeah, I thought he improved. I watched part of the game. I watched the game when he was in. He made a couple nice throws, fourth down completion, made the touchdown throw where he went to his progression. But then he's going to force the ball and have interceptions, and that's what he does. So, in my opinion, Deshaun Watson you can win with, and I think they have to win. They just can't wipe another, have another season go right down the toilet right from the start.
It's interesting. You just said some really rational things about Shedeur Sanders. Just so you know, that's illegal. You can't have a rational opinion about Shedeur Sanders. You have to either love him and you're a sycophant, or you hate him and you're a hater. So you can't do what you just did in this day and age because it doesn't exist. CC Bryant, from a player's perspective, when you hear this news, and you've been with these guys, you've been with Shedeur, you've been with Deshaun, you know what's happened in the past, how do you process that as a player?
For me, it didn't matter who started at quarterback. We had to do our job on defense. As a receiver, I can see it be much different for CC. But as a defensive player, it didn't matter to us who started at quarterback. We had to go out there and do our job and hold him to as few of points as we could. Whoever played quarterback, and that's just the way it was for us on defense. Our mindset was we're going to win the game on defense. That's where all of our money was spent. So that's what we were going to have to do on defense, go out there and try to win the game on defense, no matter who it was at quarterback. Hopefully they didn't turn the football over and put us in bad spots, but we didn't really care who played quarterback for us.
A couple of things from a player's perspective. The number one thing that's very, very important as a player is that regardless of draft capital, cash, best man wins the job. Like that's in every NFL locker room. And if you want to mess up a locker room, you start playing guys because you drafted them and you got veteran players that have beaten them out. Number two thing in Cleveland, you're not supposed to lose your starting job if you get injured. Now, I know he suffered the Achilles tear. It's been an extended period of time. They haven't spent really high draft capital on a quarterback that would make you force that quarterback. So it really should be an open competition, regardless of the economics, because you have a responsibility to the players in the locker room. We're going to put the best guy out there. Okay, are you guys sure of that? Like, no, regardless of draft capital or anything, we're going to put the best guy out there. And if he wins the job, he wins the job. So for me, that says, given the situation, that Deshaun must be drastically better than Shedeur. Like it's not even that close. Because when you look from the PR standpoint, look from a fan standpoint, if you look at the head coach, first time being a head coach, from his standpoint, like if it was a close race, you think that Shedeur would be able to win that close race, or if it's a tie, as coaches would like to say. So, there's a number of things there. I believe Deshaun Watson, just like any other player, regardless of whatever his history is, he got suspended 11 games. He got fined. Like he's had a horrific number of situations that have happened to him since he was involved in the off the field issue.
Yep.
Now, if the Browns fans, if they want to hold that against him, then okay, I understand that. But his play on the field, he should have a clean slate as far as play on the field. And this was a preseason game, and I could understand why they would boo, because they haven't been able to cheer for the quarterback, let alone that being Deshaun in Cleveland in a long time.
Yeah, can I say one more thing?
Sorry, go ahead,
Trey.
Brian. Go ahead. No,
so
go ahead,
as
Brian.
a player, we've seen what Deshaun's done. If you're a teammate, you've seen what he did in Houston. You've seen his ceiling, how good he can be. So I guess if he gets anywhere close to that, it's exciting. If you're a receiver playing for that guy, and if he's healthy and he can play like that, it's exciting. Especially, the big plays he made, the running ability he had. I mean, he was unbelievable. Shedeur, I'm still a little uncertain about him as far as I'm not playing in the NFL. But man, if Deshaun can get anywhere close to where he was back in Houston, that's a huge win for them. And then then comes in, do you pay him again? Then you got all those conversations going on again. But if he can get close to that, they've won.
Yeah, but that's it, right? Like he hasn't been that guy in Cleveland, and I don't know if he'll ever get there again because of injuries and all the stuff. I mean, this stuff wears on you. So Steve, as you look at this, do you think he can be? Because your job as a GM is to evaluate talent. Do you believe that that Deshaun Watson can be the guy he was in 2018, where he threw for 4,100 yards and completed almost 69% of his passes and had 26 touchdowns against 9 interceptions? Is that guy still in there?
Yeah, and as an NFL evaluator and general manager, you have to use your instincts. And for me, I would say no at the Cleveland Browns. Now, maybe somewhere else, but that's not my job, because my job is the GM of the Cleveland Browns. And my philosophy was always this as a businessman. And it's not exactly what players want to hear, and it's not what coaches want to hear. Sometimes it's more important to let a guy go a year too early than a year too late.
Well, there are certain teams that were really good at that. The Eagles were always good at that. The Steelers were always good at that. The Patriots were always good at that.
And to me, we're already a year too late with Deshaun Watson.
Okay, but he's there now, Marvin. And one of the things I thought was really interesting, what Todd Monken said when he announced that Deshaun was going to be the starter. He said, look, we evaluated it from last season and off-season and preseason games, and we felt like this was the guy that was the best option for us to go and score us the most points in week one. And I just thought it was weird that he said week one instead of like, this is the guy. He said week one. Like he pointed it out. It's week one.
Well, Todd's first job as a head coach in the National Football League, but he's been a head coach in college, so he knows it's a week-to-week proposition. And I'm sure that's what he told Deshaun. Hey, bro, it's your ball. You're going to take it, and you got to take care of the ball. And if you take care of the ball and we're successful, you keep going. And if not, we got to make a change. And because I'm sure, like Coach Keim, reiterated about, and both the players have spoke about, the locker room knows that it was his job to lose. And so he's got to go, they got to go about it that way. Because as a player, that's what you want to see. You don't want to lose your job because of injury that way, because then it just causes issues. But I really do think Todd believes this is his best opportunity to be successful and start his coaching career in Cleveland this way.
Okay, so let's take that one step further then, from a player's perspective, CC. He said week one, and he probably, if it's terrible, I don't know how many games he gets, and then we go back to Shedeur. As players, specifically as a wide receiver, the idea of musical quarterbacks, for lack of a better term, how much does that disrupt what you're able to do from your position? Look, Inside Football is proud to have Joey as our presenting partner. Nicotine with a quick hit, long tail, in the strength of your choice. No tobacco leaf, no smoke, no spit. 36 flavors, 3 strengths, 108 ways to find yours. And if you're out on the golf course, a Joey in the cart is just as good as it is in the studio. Whether we're breaking down tape or breaking down the league, Joey's right there with us every episode. As a thank you for being part of Inside Football's crew, we teamed up with Joey to give you a 35% discount on your first order. Get it all at meetjoey.com/football.
Well, continuity is always a part of it, but, there's other offensive linemen. They don't have continuity. Defensively, you might not have a guy, so you don't have the type of continuity that you want. I still have a job to do, and I got to create space, and I got to make a lot of catches, and I'm not going to always be open. But I got to the less.
Whoa! Hold on. Did a wide receiver just say he's not always going to be open? That statement has never been uttered before.
Yeah, but you have to realize with my catching ability, I don't have to always be open. So yes and no.
Ocho Cinco just show up.
Yeah, I still have one part of me. Yes, it's still a diva receiver, but. We all have responsibility. The lesser the talent, the more space I'm trying to create, and the more predictable I'm going to be. I'm going to take less variances, and also I'm going to be yelling out the coverages. So this guy knows this is what I'm going to be running. This is the coverage, just in case you were struggling with whatever the coverage was. But, my responsibility is just like everyone else. Be a great teammate, but do my job. Don't be too worried about the quarterback, because guess what? Then I end up not doing my job.
Can I add one thing here, Trey,
sure,
while we're on this? The other thing is, and we all remember back to his days at Clemson, where he was throwing to Steve's buddy down there, and everything was up high, and he did a great job, but he puts the ball up and lets the receivers go forward and go do it. And that's the other thing they've got to rely on, because that's how he was also successful with the Texans as well. That same kind of thing. And what I didn't see in the game the other day was when they were playing, who were they playing? Buffalo. I did not see those receivers going up and making those catches.
Yeah, that's a problem there.
That could be the death of him. What Chris is just saying about that catch radius and everything. He's used to playing with some guys that had a big radius.
Yeah. Okay. So that's part of it for sure, and they hope this kid Concepcion can be that playmaker going forward. But it's going to be an awkward start to this for the first few games, because the Browns. Oh my God, the vitriol on social media from Browns fans about this has been overwhelming. They booed him every time he touched him. So Brian, as a teammate, he's been named your guy. Good, bad, indifferent, ugly, or whatever. He's the guy you're riding with for at least game 1, probably game 2 or 3 before things really change. You have been in a situation in your past where you've had to defend your quarterback, even though it might not be the easiest guy to defend. So how do you go about doing that, not only in the game, but in public, in press conferences, when even though you don't play that side of the ball, you are going to get asked this question?
You have to support him, number one. I think if you go against what your head coach says, you're just showing disrespect for him right there. So I think whatever your head coach decides is what you have to go with, especially as a defensive player. You support the guy on offense. You tell him good job on the sideline. You do whatever you can to keep him in the game or keep him excited or keep his confidence up if you can. I'm not sure how you do that from the sideline, but I just think you have to support him publicly. It's easy because you say all the right things. Our head coach always did a good job of saying the things we needed to say. He really relayed that down to us as well. So it was very easy for us to say the right things in public. And I think as a player, you have to believe that he's the right guy because your coach would have made that decision if he's not the right guy. You have to believe your head coach has the best interests of the team in mind. So it shouldn't be convincing you to believe he's the right guy. You should believe that because your head coach made that decision.
See, the other part of this, which is interesting, is maybe Deshaun Watson gives them the best opportunity to win games in 2026. And clearly that's in Todd Monken's best interest, right? But the best interest of the organization, Steve, is to find a path forward. Because unless he becomes a Pro Bowl player, I don't think he's going to get another contract in Cleveland. He's going to have to show us he's 2017, 2018, Deshaun Watson, to get another contract. So in the grand scheme of the organization, is it better for him to play well or to say, well, we put him out there and we tried and now we have to move on?
To me, it's rip the Band-Aid off because here's where I'm coming from. This is, I am very strong believer of this. You got a situation where this guy's had his opportunities, number one. Number two, we're in a position where, as an organization, we're not going to extend this guy. And in football, no disrespect to Marvin, but a lot of times coaches can be pacifier guys. Meaning, when I say that, like the baby pacifier, meaning that you trust and you respect a player. So you think that player's going to give you because they're not going to, it's comforting. They understand your system. They've been in the system for a long time. They understand NFL defenses. You don't have to coach them as hard. Well, this situation to me is lining up like that. This is very comfortable for Todd Monken, but not for what's best for the Cleveland Browns long term.
Marvin?
Well, once you step into the head coach's chair, you got to spit that damn pacifier out, bro. Because your assistant coaches and your position coaches, they've got all the pacifiers spoken for, and you're trying to pull them out of their mouths. But I do think in Todd's case, he is kind of serving as the offensive coordinator. So this is what he feels best about. Secondly, he's been in the division. He's evaluated Shedeur. He watched Shedeur play last year every game.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
That's the thing that, he's watching the opposing offense against the defenses he's going against in that division every week. So he's seen this young man play.
Well, the contract, look, it's going to go down as the worst contract in the history of the NFL. I've talked about this forever.
Set everybody back. Set us all back.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm doing Kyler Murray's deal during that period of time, and it created a life of hell for me.
Well, the same thing in Baltimore. Lamar, everybody wanted that deal, and we're like, nobody's getting that deal. Nobody's getting that deal.
We all had to say this is not.
Except for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Well, he just keeps on keeping on, man. That's a whole separate situation. But here's the deal with this contract, which is going to make it even more complicated. The guys at Spot Track on Twitter, they do a great job. Deshaun Watson's contract contains a built-in poison pill. If he's on the roster next March 13th, a $200 million guarantee kicks in. This affords Cleveland the clear opportunity to designate him a post-January 1 release before 3/13, which splits the remaining dead cap money into $34 million in 2027 and $51 million in 2028 in dead cap money if he's not on there. To your point, Steve, it sure sounds like we need to rip this thing before we even deal with any of this shit.
Yeah, there's no doubt. In my opinion, again, that was just my philosophy, to be aggressive with the decisions you feel confident about. And I don't know. I don't live in gray. I'm a black or white guy. And Deshaun Watson's a lot of gray for me.
Yeah. Okay, so do we think this will work? Obviously, we all know the situation with Cleveland. Since they've gone back into the league, they've had more starting quarterbacks than anybody else. They add a name on the end of the jersey every time someone goes out there. Brian, this team is actually pretty good. They lost Myles Garrett, which I understand, but they have developed young defensive players, including the kid they drafted last year, Schlesinger, who's played really well. But
the quarterback has held them back. Is Deshaun Watson the guy that can propel them in, let's be honest, a very difficult division?
I believe he gives them the best chance to win right now. This may not be great for the organization. It may not be great down the line, but I feel like right now, this season gives them the best chance to win the most games.
CC?
He definitely gives them the best chance to win as many games, but I just can't take out the responsibility. There's a lot of guys around the league that they're not going to be playing for the same team they're playing for next year. Like, because he got $230 million guaranteed, like, we're putting an extra emphasis on that. But they're general managers and coaches for years, for decades. I've been seeing it. They've been making a bunch of dumbass damn decisions. And it's their fault. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
And
Can I say
he
one more
deserves the right, if he is healthy. Yes, go ahead. A Hall of Fame
When you're done,
linebacker,
Chris, when
Chicago
you're
Bears.
done. Oh, dumbass
No,
is one of my
go
favorite
ahead.
words of all time. That's what I was going to say. That's one of my favorite words. CC, Hall of Famer Chris Carter. I'm glad you threw that in there. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's a responsibility for the organization to the guys in that locker room. The guys in the locker room are not playing for 2027. So it's about this year. And if he is the best player at that position, regardless of what the number is promised into the future, the guy who's playing right guard, he don't care about that. Whoever's playing corner, he don't care about that. And he deserves the right, as his teammate, to have the best players on the field, because in the NFL, you don't know when it's time and your career is going to be called.
Right. And Marvin, that means it's really important that if he struggles, they have to make the switch.
Yeah, they have to. There's no recourse now. But hell, I was in Pittsburgh when they cut Bernie, and we were doing backflips. Ain't been a quarterback other than a year and a half with Baker since then.
It's been listen, Cleveland Browns are long-suffering. I mean, I think they put the long-suffering in the term long-suffering fans. So
Trey, the one thing that changes organizations very quickly from a upper-level management standpoint is when people stop putting their butts in the stands, okay? And to me, the Cleveland Browns and Detroit Lions are teams that have had dysfunctional years in the past, but their fans always show up. After his comments in that press conference, this one situation to me is the potential to see people in Cleveland stop going to games.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, the folks at Cleveland, there's one of the great things that's ever come of YouTube. This guy was talking about the stadium. It says, you are a factory of sadness. So even through the factory of sadness years in Cleveland, they have shown up. And if they're showing up, they're going into the season knowing that Deshaun Watson is their starting QB, and we'll see how it works out. For Brian Urlacher, Chris Carter, Marvin Lewis, Steve Keim, I'm Trey Wingo. Thanks for watching this episode of Inside Football. Our YouTube channel is Inside FB Show. Make sure you click that like and subscribe button and hit that bell so you are aware every time we drop a new episode like we did today. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Hey, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because the next video is about to drop. Has been curated just for you. Touchdown. I don't know what to do with my hands. This is awkward. Madonna, strike a pose, Vogue.